This is the Born to Be podcast, where we believe you were created on purpose and for a purpose. Each week, we deliver inspiration and interviews with today's top thought leaders who are living out their unique calling every single day. Are you ready to discover your true identity and become who you were born to be? The future is yet to be created. And now, here's your host, Darren Earlywine.
Well, welcome to the Born to Be podcast, and so stoked about this episode. Lauren Daigle. Well, you guys know Lauren Daigle.
Yeah.
You Say, blowing up, her song, her album, Look Up Child. So many great songs from it. They say she's like, well, I think this is, I hate it when I hear this, like she's like the Christian Adele.
Her voice is very similar to Adele's.
Right. But she's just Lauren Daigle. She doesn't have to be the Christian Adele.
Right.
But she's getting crazy exposure. We got a chance to sit down with her this month, and really, really cool stuff. I know you're going to enjoy some of her perspective. She talks about some of her songs. The song You Say specifically, where it came from and the time that she wrote that out of. Talks a little bit about what to expect if you go to one of her live shows. And then just her perspective on some of the spiritual hunger she sees in America. And so without any further ado, let's jump into our conversation with singer-songwriter, Grammy winner, multi-Grammy winner, the one and only Lauren Daigle. So you've had a big week, obviously coming home with 2 Grammys, right?
Yes. I'm kind of in the pinch me phase.
Yeah.
Like, just a bit shocked. Because the Grammys are so unpredictable. Like, you really never know. So many people would come up to me and be like, oh, you know you're going to win. And I'd say, no, you really don't ever know if you're going to win or not. Like, the Grammys it's just really elite and it's unpredictable. And so I think we showed like this clip on my Instagram of whenever we found out. And I was so nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm nervous. And then they announced our names and my face just like froze. I turned and looked at my producer. I was like, oh gosh, here we go. It was so fun. Now I'm so excited, truly.
Well, congratulations. You deserve all the success. I love the album. I've been wearing it out. And You Say is such a powerful song, Lauren. The first time I heard it, it stopped me in my tracks because it hits to an issue that I think so many people deal with, which is really understanding their identity. And you don't beat around the bush in this song. You go right away, and talking about that God shapes so much of our identity. And I was shocked as this song has gotten so much crossover success because it's so blatant, and I think such a powerful song. Has it shocked you that a song, that blatant, that much, just, turning towards this understanding of our identity in God has had this kind of crossover success?
Oh, my goodness, 100%. I was just talking to someone about this last night because a lot of times whenever we're making music, my heart is I want everybody to be able to hear it. I want the whole world to be able to hear truth and love and encouragement and joy and all the fruits of the Spirit. And I think a lot of times people, position themselves or may change things or whatever. And with this song, I wasn't expecting it to be You Say. I wasn't expecting You Say to be the one that kind of like took the leap and launched. I thought it would be something slightly more obscure like Rescue or Still Rolling Stones or something.
Right.
And it was crazy that straight out of the gate, it launched itself.
I want to jump in real quick and just talk about some of the stuff that Lauren's talking about her song You Say. First time I ever heard this song, I was like, it was like a stop in my tracks moment. Like, who is this? Mm-hmm. What song is this? And the power in the authenticity and just the honesty of like the grit of the lyrics of this song, I think is the reason it's blowing up. I think the issue of understanding our identity, and specifically our identity in Christ, is the absolute bedrock issue that every single person has. Whether they know it or not, it comes back to an identity issue. Do I know who I am because whose I am, basically? Do I know what's true about me because I'm in Christ? Mm-hmm. That's a game changer. I think it's the first thing within a covenant relationship with God that he establishes in us. Is the first thing he established is identity. And this song is screaming truth about identity. The other thing I think about it is it's not like a regular popcorn, bubble gum, cheese ball Christian song that makes you want to puke. That's just like Ned Flanders-y and it's great. Well, I can't even do it without making myself feel sick.
Yeah, Christian music and a lot of different music. I think country music also has recently just devolved into this very formulaic approach for a song. Where
Why is every pop country song right now? There's always some reference of a girl in a T-shirt. I mean, I don't know. I just noticed.
You know why? Because it sells, and people are like, "Let's do that."
Oh, you're probably right.
As opposed to writing original,
right.
clever,
And if
music.
you're writing a country song, you have to write to the lowest common denominator, which is drunk dudes in a bar.
Wow.
Yeah.
I apologize, country music.
Yeah.
No, if it's true, right?
Yeah.
Like you're in the saloon with your buddies,
Yeah.
and you can't even process really deep lyrical things.
Yeah.
What? Why are you laughing at me?
Because you said saloon.
Right.
Saloon.
I'm saying a
Did
saloon.
we hitch our horse on our way in?
I'm sorry, I was raised on a farm. I'm sorry that actually country music is actually my real life.
Are we gold prospectors in like the 1800s?
Yes, we are. Come on.
Oil! We hit oil!
Get out of here.
I'm just
Let's
Some
make
people-
a trip to the brothel.
I'm saying some country bars are still
Yeah.
called saloons.
okay. I'll give it to you.
Yeah,
I'll give it to you.
I get you.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be mean. It struck me. It's funny that you said saloon.
Oh gosh. So
Okay.
great.
It's a part
There
of
you
your.
go.
It's a part of your identity.
It is.
It is
It
true
is.
though. Country. Yeah.
Country girl.
Yeah.
Born and bred.
Look at her there in the jean shirts, not jean shorts. And
Right.
I got a Budweiser. And my buddies with me, and we got a dip in our lip.
Okay,
and
we're not talking about. We're talking about Lauren Daigle.
We're doing a Lauren
sorry.
Daigle song. Yeah.
Sorry, I heard saloon, and I went into.
I understand. It's such an authentic song. I think it hits a chord with people, and I think that's why it's had such crossover success. Is that people hear it and they go, and I think these are the moments that I love. And I think when we're doing a great job as Christian artists or Christian creators, and that may even be if you remodel bathrooms or something. I think there should be moments when we as Christians create something that a non-Christian feels, and they don't know why they feel what they feel about it. But it's something that there's a tuning fork of the soul going off.
Okay.
And I think what the content of her lyrics, the way she delivers it, and the fact that her voice is world class.
Yeah.
Everything about this album is world class. And I think if you don't have an ounce of faith in Christ, you hear the truth that she's singing and the strength in which she's singing it, and your soul goes, that is true.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm drawn to that, but I am.
Well, she said that when she sat down with her producer and was like, where do we start? And he was like, you have to start with what you know and what is true, and you got to speak that. And so you can even hear that in the production of the entire album, that it's pretty sparse production. Like, this song is not an up-tempo pop song.
Yeah.
It's like a mid-tempo, kind of slower, piano-based tune.
And that's a perfect segue, because right now she's going to talk about the moment they put this song recorded it, and just the kind of backstory there. Let's jump back into the interview with Lauren Daigle.
In my darkest of times, when I felt myself kind of slipping away because I kind of went through this phase of being just torn in a million different directions, and definitely needing to know, okay, this is where my identity lies. So I went into the studio with my producers. It was the day after an award show, and it was one of my first award shows I'd ever been a part of. And I remember feeling really overwhelmed, like, wait, what did I just get myself into? Kind of like I'm a bit insecure and uncertain about what's ahead, fear of the unknown. And I could see already then how it would shape who I became if I didn't have something solid, a fortitude, a foundation to stand on. And so in this kind of chaotic, I'm losing myself moment, my producers were like, you just need to remember the truth. And you need to grab a hold of words that are unshakable and listen to who God says you are in those moments of difficulty, whenever your head might be telling you something different, you know? And so it's been really powerful to see people who I've never met before or who I've never encountered before send letters or write us or email us, or, you know, people in person just say, you have no idea the strength that song has brought me. And I think it's come at a time where we see people begging for identity, begging for, who am I? Those questions that you ask yourself. Like, our culture is bent on that right now. And I think this is just a song that kind of gives people hope.
What Lauren shares right there couldn't be more bullseye for what we talk about here in the Born to Be podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've literally put this podcast together to help you discover who you were born to be, which is all about your sense of identity. And, like Lauren is talking about, and that's one of the reasons that we have our Spiritual DNA workshop. We were so glad to see many of you that were there at the live event in February. We got another one coming up on May 4th. But in the Spiritual DNA workshop, that's what you walk through. You go through to an understanding of who you are in Christ. What is your identity? And not just on a surface level, but all the way down to the uniqueness that God's placed in you. And I think if you don't have a true understanding of that identity, you are open to be influenced or shaped by any circumstance or anyone who's a part of your life outside of that foundation.
Yeah, well, that's what I think I've been working really hard on, and I write about this all the time with my I Am Mother of the Year group, but it's finding the lies that you tell yourself, and as you're going through your day, you really, if you're not aware, which kind of a lot of times it's easier to be unaware.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just either inundated or we're lazy or we don't know that we're unaware. But when we are not aware of the lies that we're believing about ourselves, then we don't really realize how much those lies are shaping our identity and our actions and our next steps. And so I always, especially in my motherhood, but try to figure out, like, what lie am I believing about this moment, about this situation, about who I am, or maybe about my husband, about whatever else I'm going through. Figure out what lie I'm believing and then replace that with the truth. And that practice has really made a difference. So that I know a lot of us, and this is a counseling term, but it's automatic negative thoughts. A lot of us have automatic negative thoughts. And so for me, when I first started this journey of finding the lies and replace them with the truth, figuring out the truth about who I am, my first thought anytime something would happen with my kids was, I'm not equipped for this. And I can say now, I don't think that anymore because I've literally retrained my brain to know that's a lie. And anytime now something comes up, like, I'm equipped for this. Like, God has equipped me for this, and that's the truth.
Well, I think it's key what you're in that truth isn't something that I think is true.
Right.
What we're talking about is truth that's true about you because it's what God says is true about you because of who he is and who you are in him.
Right.
Not just, I'm just believing good things about myself, believe positive things. No, there are truth statements in the Word of God in the Bible that when you begin to apply them to your life, they become the bedrock, a foundational understanding that is true about me. And I love what you're saying, Lisa, is when you can understand that, then your life is guided by truth, not by opinion, not by shame, not by regret, not by emotions. That's
a big one.
Yes, right.
That's my big one for sure.
It's honestly, it's the shame, it's the pain, it's all of that gets fueled into emotion.
Yeah.
And then that usually completely derails us. But can we get back to that place of discovering what's true about us because of who God is and who he says we are? And I think that's a huge part in why this song has been a success.
I think it's interesting, too, that when Jesus said, what he didn't say was, I am a way, I am a life, and I am one of many truths.
Right.
He's like, he said the for everyone. I am the way, the life, the truth.
Yeah.
Which is totally countercultural to what we're hearing now.
Yeah.
Where it's like, get life from wherever you want. Okay, that's a lie. Whatever way you choose is great. Nope. There are a lot of ways that don't end up well.
Yeah.
And then whatever your truth is I have to respect that. That's your truth. He's not saying that. He's like, it is black or white. There is no gray.
Yeah.
He's like, but he's not going to beat you over the head with that.
When he's not exclusive in it, that he's like trying to exclude. I mean, I love I think we said it on the podcast or maybe on the radio show is that one of the things that the ways I know Jesus can say that with conviction is because he's the only God coming to look for you. Like he's not saying, I'm the only way. Good luck.
Right.
He's saying, hey, I'm the way to life and I'm truth. And guess what? There's no one else searching for you.
And without me coming to you, you're not going to find me.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you find that, you know what I mean? It does lead you to live into an understanding of identity, allowing truth to guide you. And through that, moves you to be able to live a life of peace, of purpose, of passion. And there's a lot of joy in that. And that's what Lauren talks about next year, about the joy and the fun that she has in her live show. What can people expect if they come to the show?
Oh, man. I am so excited. Everybody's welcome. Y'all all come. One of the things to expect is honestly a lot of fun. Like last night, at the show, we were in Seattle. Someone came to us and said, holy cow, you really have fun. And it was like, well, yeah, of course, like, it's music. Like, let's have a ton of fun. And I think people walk away, like, refreshed and encouraged because it's a night of fun with truth to be able to grab a hold of as well.
Are you seeing a different impact on your live shows, or maybe in your meet and greets, Lauren, from maybe 2 or 3 years ago at shows, as now you're having fans that are very new, not just to your music, but maybe to a spiritual environment?
Yes, it's really fun. I welcome it. Like, people who have no idea about Christianity or actually don't even want to be involved in it, I say, oh, just come on. Like, come on into the fold. Come to the show. Come enjoy yourself. And I welcome the questions. I welcome why do these people think this way? Why do these people think that way? Last night even we had, people outside boycotting the show and things like that. And then we have people that come in and they're like, I have no idea what I'm getting myself into. What is going on? And then you have people like last night in the Q&A, someone asked, why are not more artists like you playing in clubs? I don't understand, like, why I have to go to venues outside of clubs in order to get a show. And so you see this interesting time, like this, it's kind of peculiar, this time that's happening right now. But I'm excited about it. Like, I love watching people who may not necessarily know anything about Christianity, but know the way that the songs make them feel, and that be enough to draw them in.
Do you feel like that there's a spiritual hunger or openness right now in America?
Oh, 100%. I see it all the time. I was looking at Maren Morris last night, or the other night at the Grammys. Like, one of her prep things was like a tarot card reading. And you see this, like, that was her preparation in order to get ready for the Grammys. And you see this, like, this need for spiritual nurturing almost. It's like to see people so open right now.
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful thing. Like, I really do. I think this is kind of a moment where there's an awakening coming, and it makes me really excited, honestly. I see the hunger, and I think there's a lot of things that can tear people apart right now in the world. And so because of that, because of kind of how much wilder things are getting, people are wanting truth. People are wanting something authentic and real in order to get to the next day, and in order to give them fortitude in kind of this upheaval of time. And so I think with that, people are searching for something deeper, something more meaningful. And I think it's beautiful that we have an answer.
Well, Lauren, I think you're right. I think you've given them a soundtrack for their soul in the album. Look Up, Child. We love it. We want to come see you when you're here in Indy, but it's sold out. We can't even get tickets. I don't know if you could put a good word in for us.
Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely.
So do you know some people who are the artist at that show?
I might be able to work on it. I don't know. She's kind of busy.
Yeah.
Well,
no, I really will. I'll put in a word for you because I would love to meet you guys. I love what you're doing. That's genuinely exciting. Pretty awesome.
We're having a blast doing it. And when we're together, if we can be together at your show, we've got an idea. If the music thing doesn't work out, Lauren, we've got an idea that I think you would love. I don't know if you've ever thought about branching out from music, but we've got a business we put some thought into called Daigle's Bagels, and I think it could blow up.
Okay, I think as long as it's like customized everything bagels,
Sure.
then I think we'll be in business.
Well, you've got a song on your album called Everything, and I'm a big Everything Bagels fan. I mean, you're literally the only artist in the world with the last name that rhymes with bagels. Maybe you could open it up in Louisiana as your first store. We don't know. I mean, you could Holes for Souls or Turn Your Eyes Upon Cream Cheeses or something.
Yes.
I don't know. I think they
really put a lot of thought into this, and I am about it.
Yeah, Lauren, we've got 1,000 T-shirts we got to move somehow, so we gotta figure this out.
Get the inventory out.
They're the holiest bagels in the world.
Oh my gosh! Wait, this is actually genius. I think I really
it writes itself.
It does. It really does.
The store we thought
you open a coffee shop in New Orleans. Maybe I'll specialize in bagels.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. I mean, you could put the kids menu could be on the ceiling, so it could be like, hey, look up, child.
Look up, child.
Like you have to look up for the menu.
Oh my gosh! Wait, I just need to know, how long have you been thinking about this?
About 3 months.
I'm like, holy cow! I'm gonna steal all of this.
Please do.
I have to. Look up, child. The menu's on the ceiling.
Lauren Daigle, so great. Her sold-out show, March 7th at the Mirage. If you can't get tickets, you can maybe buy them resale. It's worth it. It's going to be an amazing show. Lauren, thank you so much for being on Radio Theology this morning.
Thank you. It's good to see you guys.
Oh, my gosh. Daigle's Bagels, what were we doing?
Yeah, that was fun.
I think she loved it.
I think
She loved it.
I hope.
She's impressed by the creativity on this team.
We're hoping we get a chance to interview Lauren when she's in town here next month. If we do, we're working on a T-shirt for her, and we'll see if we can't get that put out. But before we talk about crazy stuff, I want to go back to one of the points she made about that spiritual hunger. One thing that I love, and we talked about this on the Behind the Mic episode of Radio Theology. If you like what we do on Born to Be a Podcast, you want more of what we do, go to radio.com. And you can download the app, and you can access highlights of Radio Theology, our weekly radio show, every single week. Just go to the podcast tab, and you can search for Radio Theology. And we release a Behind the Mic episode of that each week, which is another podcast we do. We do a lot of talking. Where we talk just about taking what we say on the radio a little bit deeper. And one of the things we said on there that what I loved about Lauren said there is when she talked about Maren Morris, about reading tarot cards, is that she didn't say, oh, my gosh, can you believe she was doing something occultic?
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's boycott Maren Morris.
Yeah, right.
No, what she saw is Maren Morris doesn't follow Jesus. What Maren Morris's soul is saying is, I need spiritual connection. That's an opportunity.
Right.
And I think, man, if we as Christians could see the open doors and the opportunities quicker than we see with the flaw in someone's actions, we could see so much more headway. And I really feel like, man, that God controls. Like who has the next greatest song ideas? Where are they at right now? My opinion, they're in the mind of God. Like where does all creativity come from? It comes from God. So who gave Lauren Daigle these songs on this album? I think God did. And I think God entrusted her with the message of this album because he knew her heart was in such a way that she could handle being in this in-between space that she's in, because she's able to love people where she sees the opportunity, not the offense first. And I think she's being uniquely positioned by God to do what she's doing, and I think he's entrusting her with amazing creative ideas.
I think she saw, this is going to sound kind of rhymey, but she saw the root, not the fruit. She looked past the fruit of Maren Morris looking at the tarot card, and she tried to look more into what's the root of that behavior?
Yeah.
Or why are you searching in that way?
Yes.
The legalistic, very religious, uber conservative approach would be like, that's wrong, get her out, don't associate with her ever again, banish, exclude, run 180 degrees from that. And I think there is a little bit of truth in that. Don't stick around too long around certain behaviors and people who are doing things that aren't going to be healthy and good and positive. But in, a way of sharing her faith is not to beat her over the head and be like, God says that's wrong, you need to stop. I don't know if she had an interaction with Maren Morris. Maybe she just saw it, but she could have said, "What's behind that? Like, tell me more about why you're doing that."
Think about what Paul says when he's at on Mars Hill in Athens, right? He says, "Hey, I've noticed you guys. You're very religious. Got a lot of statues, a lot of gods here. Notice that, and I even noticed that you got one for the unknown God. Well, I'd like to let you know who that God is. Like he stepped into culture." And was able to actually speak within it and invite people in.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Guess who's going to have a better opportunity to actually have a conversation with Maren Morris? Us three or Lauren Daigle?
Lauren Daigle.
Lauren Daigle is. So it's like you have to be wise in how you. That's why Jesus says, listen, be as wise as snakes, right? But as gentle and innocent as doves, right? Because even for our show, like there are certain topics when we're on the air we don't talk about. Because we realize that if we go hardline Bible truth on certain topics, it's going to cause such a media firestorm that we could lose the opportunity to say the things that people need to hear for their souls. And there may be a situation in your neighborhood, maybe at your job, whatever it is, where you feel like for some reason you have to stand up for truth and you got to defend God. Most of the times God defends himself pretty well.
Right.
I think if we enter into relationships and interactions with people, and I love what you said, Ryan, to say, I'm going to look for the root of good here, not respond to the fruit that may be offensive or whatever it is. I might find myself with a space at the table long enough to influence people. And I think that's what's happening with Lauren.
Yeah, I think a lot of times Jesus side-skirted the trap of question that was the surface level question, and he cut more to the real, the core of what people were trying to get at. I mean, if you look at when he was in his public ministry, and all the religious types of his day were trying to trap him so they could basically put blame on him to say, okay, we've got an excuse to get rid of him now. Oftentimes he saw right through the line of questioning, and he just totally stepped to the other side, kind of evaded it, and then went right to the heart of why they were asking that question. Yeah. And I liked it. I didn't hear it when we were interviewing her. You know, I was caught up in the whole tarot card thing, but you're right. Like, the way that she presented it was very gracious. She was like, there's a hunger there that I think is beautiful, as opposed to, she's looking at tarot cards, she's horrible.
Yeah.
Well, you're right. It's like, if you've got a fellow musician who just won a Grammy who knows Jesus and you don't, you're probably more apt to listen to her than the person boycotting said Christian artist show out on the street with a sign on it saying Lauren Daigle is whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, here on this is the Born to Be podcast. We want to help you take steps to become who you were born to be. And I just hope you're inspired by what you've heard from Lauren. I honestly think, she was born to do this. Like I don't know how long she'll have a musical career, but I feel very confident that she's doing exactly what she was born to do. God gave her that voice. I mean, we hope to get into her story a little more if we get a chance to meet her when she's in town. But, she sang all the time as a kid. But what spurred really more of it becoming more of a serious thing was she had a major bout with mono. And that time of sickness was the thing that really motivated her to move into taking her voice more serious. I want to hear that story. I want to see how that passion and pain kind of came together. But I honestly believe that God put her on earth to do what she's doing. And who knows how long that season lasts. But when you do that, take some cues from what Lauren has said in this interview and realize that, like, for right now, like you said, she's getting boycotted by Christians and sometimes applauded by Christians and sometimes looked down upon by non-Christians and sometimes being paid a lot of attention by non-Christians. She's in a really interesting, tense place, but she's making a major impact. And when you can find that sweet spot of understanding and stepping into God's call in your life where it maximizes all your gifts and your talents and abilities, beautiful things happen. And I just love watching what's going on with her career. So stoked to have Lauren on the Born to Be podcast and on Radio Theology. Look for more from her, hopefully in the future, on Radio Theology or the Born to Be podcast. And like I said, if you haven't maybe jumped into Radio Theology, we'd love for you to do so. Just go to radio.com, download the app, and you can stay connected with us through that. And that's it. God bless you. And we'll talk to you next time on the Born to Be podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Born to Be podcast. We'd love to hear from you. If you've got a question for Pastor Darren, a suggestion for a future guest, or if the podcast has made an impact in your life, get in touch with us at blackbirdmission.com. And if no one else tells you today, you were made on purpose and for a purpose. God is near to you, not far from you, and God is for you, not against you. Have a great week.